What is a bad TV or movie remake? You're dropping some titles and we're sharing them live over a beer from coast to coast on the Brew.
All right, Joel, so what's a bad TV or movie remake?
So I'm a huge fan. Okay, this is weird because nobody else says this, but my favorite movie ever is Tremors. And I want to say the last three have kind of remade the series. So I'm not giving you a straight up answer or one that is super popular. The last three have the graboids shooting out of the ground and all kinds of weird shit. It's just not the same. Especially the last one when they killed Bert. Spoiler alert, I probably should have said, but yeah. I would say Tremors, the remakes could have been done better. If we're going mainstream, it's really hard for me to say mainstream because modern movies, the way they True Grit is a great example of something they did really well. Even when I was growing up, Mr. Deeds, that was a remake of Longfellow Deeds Goes to Town from 1930s, and they did good jobs with those because technology is just better now. Writing is just better now. So it's not an easy answer. I'm sure some people are going to be like, oh, Dune or whatever, and come up with some random shit that didn't do well in the box office. But for me, I'm going to say, since I grew up with Tremors, and that's my favorite series ever, I didn't like the new ones as much. And I will say, even though they're not remakes, they're sequels, they did remake the actual creatures into all kinds of shit that they never were.
Yeah, I was just about to chime in with that. I was like, I think they kind of screwed up their concept on that one. When you started to change the whole concept of what the creatures was, that sends that franchise into a whole different level somewhere. And you need Michael Gross, too. I mean, come on, you need Mr. Keaton out there, killing slugs in the desert. That's the best part of it. So yeah, I think that franchise totally lost its way, don't you?
I mean, I wouldn't say totally. I still like them. I still like them, but when we're talking about qualifying for bad remakes, they went off into a different direction. They got too zoomed in. They got too generic Hollywood, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's too generic Hollywood. Great answer. All right, well, there's one of my favorite shows is the A-Team, but one of the movies that totally missed the mark was the A-Team movie. What were you doing? They threw so much at you, so many Hollywood cliches, so much crap in that movie, which should have been an absolute blockbuster, re-energize the series, but instead you missed the magic of the original movie. It was trying to be too much of an action flick, whereas the A-Team in the 80s was action. There was also a little bit of comedy and drama there going on too. I mean, you had Murdoch riding around shooting a machine gun out of a hearse on the TV series. Then you get in a movie and all of a sudden now Murdoch is not quite the crazy fool that he was, and the fact he used to fight with Mr. T and everything. So I love the A-Team. I was so excited for the A-Team. Man, I wanted to get up and punch the movie screen. I was just so ticked off at it. I was like, nope.
Yeah, it's in the 80s when that came out, you're talking about something that was groundbreaking at the time. It was oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You could actually look at Jurassic World, with Chris Pratt. The only movie I've ever walked out of was the first Jurassic World with Chris Pratt. That's a good example. I know that's technically a sequel, but they're trying to remake these series and make them like they were in the old ones. And I'm I've been to at least 1,000 movies in theaters, and the only one I've ever walked out of was the remake because they try to change the formula of what it was. And like you said with the A-Team, if you water down one of those characters and not make him as groundbreaking as he was, then it's just not the same.
I didn't know you walked out of that movie. I got so mad I shut it off here. I had it on DVD. I couldn't stand it. I was so mad. That's with the little kids in the little pods, right? That movie running around, right? Was that the first?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Okay, first
so
off,
I went on social media and people were like, "This is the greatest movie ever," and I was like, "Yeah, it's the only one I've ever walked out of. It was that bad. I paid for it and I still was like, I don't want my money back."
Yeah, I don't know how it ended, and I don't care. It was crap. That movie, and then any sequel that came after that, I didn't want to see it. Oh man, that's another. Ooh, that actually kind of makes me more mad than the A-Team.
I actually muted all the notifications from then on about Jurassic Park. I was like, I'm done. I'm just gonna pretend it was 3.
Well, look, we got to move on because we're taking all the time, but we have a ton of answers and a lot of your great answers out there. So what TV or movie do you think was a bad remake? Here they come. Prince Nye says, I'm not the biggest fan of some of the live-action Disney remakes. Well, wait a minute. Disney remakes, all right, I guess if you're keeping the cartoon and trying to do a live-action thing, yeah, they're kind of maybe not so much.
That's also kind of like what you said earlier about Tremors, though. That same criticism kind of applies to Disney remakes, because if you're changing such a heavy part of the concept, then it's not quite the same. If you go from cartoon to animation, that's pretty close. That's kind of more of a modernization. That's better than making it live action. I don't even when they put out that Sonic movie trailer, It was like so many people hated just the trailer because it was so different from what you think about Sonic and what made him popular and what most people think of as Sonic. So, yeah, that checks out.
We're all waiting for the DuckTales live action movie. Who's gonna play Scrooge? You need like Bill Murray or somebody crazy to do that. You know they've run out of ideas when we get like to that level.
Hey, I'll feather the Crispin.
Oh yeah, yeah, nice, yeah, of course. Lots more answers to get to. Like Ollie, he says Showtime's 1994 remake of The Birds 2, Land's End. Starman says the new Ghostbusters with the women. I get we're trying to be diverse and inclusive now, but that was just stupid. Ouch. Vamos Yankees also says the women Ghostbusters. Yeah, because I mean that's a pretty big departure from that franchise. You had your 4 old-time, core characters. Yes, of course we know one died, but then you replace it with 4 women and kind of like try to remake it in a different. I didn't care for it either.
You know what? I didn't watch that one, and so I've never seen Ghostbusters. That's a little before my time, and I know I get a lot of shit. I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying that, but I don't know. Diversity's not bad. It's just that it should be original content, I think, in my opinion. You shouldn't try to change it for the sake of diversity, but you should include diversity when you make something new.
And that's how I think that movie at least flopped. It was just changing it for the sake of diversity. It was unnecessary, really. They could have made even the 4 of them and give them a whole different plot and even make them, you can want to do women Ghostbusters, fine. Find a reason. Don't try to just steal the original idea. And that's a problem though anymore now. It's just all recycling material. There's so many great ideas out there, but Hollywood just doesn't seem to want to take a chance.
That's actually a really good point and why I don't really watch too many movies anymore. I really don't go to the movies or watch them on Netflix too much unless they're really, really acclaimed. Shout out to Melissa McCarthy, though. I'm a huge Melissa McCarthy fan.
Yeah, she's cool. She's cool. But they wonder why the numbers are down at the box office now. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Especially when you drop these titles, like Starman also says Independence Day 2. Yeah, I agree with that one. Bernice says Starsky and Hutch movie. It was so bad. They made the characters, especially Starsky, look like idiots instead of the badass cops that they were. They ruined my favorite show with that mess. People who don't see the original series will look at that movie and be like, what stupid cops? But the series was great. Okay, I'm done. Ooh, she's got it right there again. Another one. Another bad remake idea. But pretty much in this day and age, they could remake anything, and they chose to do Starsky and Hutch, and yeah, when you change the concept, you miss it.
Unfortunately, I never saw the original again for the same reason, but I didn't mind, 20 years ago when the remake came out with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, it was like, all right, I fell on my face before, I could understand, I could relate to a crooked nose, that's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it's just like the 18. Like I said, there was the 70s and 80s. I think it was early 80s series. It was more action oriented, where the movie did kind of make it comedic. I don't know, but again, you're trying to introduce it to a new audience. Maybe that one there was enough time between the show and the movie, whereas sometimes like Ghostbusters, where you really have a hardcore classic, and then you just screw it up. Anyhow, lots more answers. Nicole says The Munsters on Netflix. Rough Guitar also agrees The Munsters. Just Chantel says Psycho, the original black and white from 1960, was fantastic. The remake in 1998, not so much. Rudy says Psycho by far in 1998. He agrees. Scoots in Vegas, when they did Chips as a dumb comedy, was one of the worst things ever. That falls in line with what we were saying about the remakes being turning things into a comedy. Rough Guitar says they better not attempt a Jersey Joe remake. They never captured the main character. Got that right. Tom says King Kong, all the remakes. And finally, Starman says pretty much anything at this point, Hollywood is just recycling scripts instead of writing great movies. Oh, it sounds like what I just said there, but I agree with him. He's right. The only time, in my opinion, that I think a sequel and a movie remake actually did okay, the original Star Trek. So you had the 60s series. They made a really bad motion picture in the 70s, but it was cool to see it in the screen, made tons of money. But the Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, was a brilliant movie. It pretty much set that franchise forward from there on out. One of the few times where it actually kind of worked out when you do the remake route.
Yeah, and okay, so I won't say I know Star Trek. I don't know the old ones, but Joe's a huge fan of it. He's made it very clear that he's a huge fan of it. And I saw one of the new ones. It was maybe 10 years ago or so. But I actually really liked it. I thought it was good. I thought they did a very good job of bringing old concepts from what I'd heard into a new reality. So I could see why old school fans would still like the same thing. There definitely is a way to do it.
I'm going to piss all over that answer because that second Star Trek remake was a remake of Star Trek 2, and they ruined the plots. All of a sudden, Spock was saying Kirk's iconic line. Again, remade, shouldn't have been remade. Come up with a better concept idea and just have something original, not recycle. That one, they should not have remade Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Sorry, Paramount. Fail, fail, fail. Okay, it's a opinion show, though, we know that. But, at this point, though, if they want to remake things, here's the crazy thing. Remember when they brought that Harry Carey hologram out during the Field of Dreams series MLB did? So even if, your legendary actors are dead, like, say, Clark Gable, Christopher Reeves, they can bring those actors back in, like, a holographic form now and almost redo these movies.
Yeah, they could, and I don't think they should unless it's in a very, very specifically well-made way. And it's hard to put that into terms that aren't too subjective, but there's a way to do it. But the way that they did it at the Field of Dreams game with Harry Carey was very hated because it should be. It was terrible.
Yeah, look at it this way. It's a better idea than recycling old scripts and reacting episodes of Judge Joe Brown, because we could do that, too, at this level. I mean, just to fill daytime programming, so... There you go. And hey, hopefully nobody will reenact our show, though. We're original right here on the big channel. And there's lots more original programming what are you going to do? Click that like and subscribe button. Hey, there it is, all the fun here on the Jersey Joe 50 YouTube channel. No recycling involved unless you somehow click on one of my YouTube shorts, but guaranteed fun each and every week. Hey, there we go. So maybe we hire Crispin there. He could fill in for like some dog, like Clifford the Big Red Dog, one of those. Like, remember Benji? Or maybe he could be like Harry and the Hendersons. We can get your fur baby on TV.
Oh, Harry and the Hendersons. He could fill in for Clifford if they did like the small camera style they did when they made the original Jurassic Park throwback.
I'd go for him as Splinter for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think he could figure that part out. We just put a couple whiskers on him a little longer. I think he could do it.
Give him a little robe and a cane. He'll be all right.
Yeah. See? Look at that. Problem solved. We're pushing off your dog for free work in Hollywood. So there you go. All right, Jersey Joe, I am you saying thanks for watching. Thanks for all your great ideas. And we'll see you next time, I hope.
There's more fun and laughs now on the YouTube channel, with a collection of funny Snapchat filters on a new Kicking Back with Jersey Joe.